In the middle of the night, a young woman named Claire gripped the steering wheel tightly as she drove down the dark, empty highway. The road stretched out endlessly before her, with nothing but darkness on either side. She was tired and just wanted to get home. She glanced at the clock on the dashboard. It was nearly midnight. She had been driving for hours, trying to put as much distance between herself and the little town she had left behind. The isolation was starting to get to her. She reached over and turned on the radio, hoping for some music to keep her company, but all she got was static. With a sigh, she turned it off and focused back on the road. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the beam of her headlights. Claire gasped and slammed on the brakes. Her heart pounded as she stared at the figure, a woman dressed in a long, tattered white dress with dark, hollow eyes. The woman stood still, then slowly raised her arm and pointed towards a narrow dirt road that Claire hadn't noticed before. Claire's mind raced. This didn't make any sense. Why was this woman here? Against her better judgment, Claire decided to follow the woman's direction. She turned onto the dirt road. The car jostled and bumped as she drove, the headlights casting eerie shadows on the trees. After a few minutes, a small, dilapidated house came into view. It looked abandoned, with broken windows and a sagging roof. Claire's unease grew as she stopped the car and hesitated. Claire reached for her phone, hoping to call for help, but there was no signal. Panic set in. She turned to look back at the road, but the woman was gone. She was alone. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up as she heard a faint whispering coming from the house. Despite her fear, something compelled her to move forward. She slowly approached the house, the whispering growing louder. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her, plunging her into darkness. Claire screamed and turned to run, but cold, invisible hands gripped her, pulling her deeper into the house. The whispering grew louder, deafening, as she was dragged into the abyss. The next morning, Claire's car was found abandoned on the side of the highway. There was no sign of her. The police searched for weeks, but she was never found. The locals say the house is haunted, and anyone who sees the ghostly woman on the road is doomed to disappear, just like Claire. The legend of the Midnight Drive lives on, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk in the darkness. And so, Claire's Midnight Drive became another tale of horror, a warning to those who travel alone in the dead of night.